This is episode 72. Are you wondering what kind of link building strategies you need for your e-commerce site? In this episode, I will sit down with you and teach you some of my favorite ways to do link building for e-commerce stores in this next part of my e-commerce SEO strategy series. Welcome to the Calm Marketer Podcast. My name is Kenneth Fong, a digital marketer on a mission to help businesses thrive. I'll bring you on my marketing journey where you'll get to learn from my experiences as an INFP navigating an extroverted world and get actionable marketing tips for your business. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let's begin. When it comes to e-commerce websites, you should never neglect link building because the same goes with other types of websites that you can have. Link building is part of your core SEO strategy. And this is one of my last series of this e-commerce SEO strategy, and I want to talk about link building today. Now, with any type of link building campaign, I always recommend you start with a competitor analysis. So what is a competitor analysis? A competitor analysis is you taking a look at your top 3 competitors and see what kind of backlinks they have. And you can analyze their backlinks so you can get a grasp of what kind of links they have and what kind of strategies and tactics you can implement so you can capture the same backlinks as them or similar backlinks. So a competitor analysis is extremely important, and it's the first step that you should take when you decide on a link building strategy. So I like to use SEMrush and Ahrefs for competitor backlink analysis. Now, you need tools for this. This isn't something that you can necessarily do manually. You do need SEMrush or Ahrefs, and I highly recommend you invest in either of those tools. So what I do is pick the main keyword that you want to rank for. For example, it could be office tables, and get a list of the top 10 sites that are ranking for office tables. And what you're going to do next is plug those websites into Ahrefs, for example, and look at the backlinks that are pointing to each of your competitors and get a feel for what kind of sites are linking to them. Are they informational blog posts? Are they other e-commerce sites? Are they wholesale retailers? Like, what kind of sites are linking to them? And from your analysis, you will get a very nice strategy and next steps in terms of what you should be doing for your own website. More likely than not, your competitors will have guest posts with links pointing to their site. So you should start to build out a guest posting process that you can follow or your team can follow to start gathering backlinks via guest posts. So there is 5 steps that you can follow for a guest posting process. The first step is you need to start by prospecting your industry, right? So try to see what other sites are out there within your industry. If it's in the office furniture industry, get a list of what websites that have active blog sections that are talking about office supplies, office desks, office furniture. And the next step is to qualify your prospects. So take a look at all of those websites and see which ones accept guest blog posts, and also which ones have a good domain authority, right? So a good domain authority, I would say, is 50 or higher. I could even go down to 40 or higher. Those numbers, those metrics are a guidepost, but I would recommend manually visiting those sites and just check to see, how they look like and how they operate. If they look legitimate, then great, right? So even if they have a low domain authority, it's fine if it looks legitimate, if it's a real site that gets updated regularly, that doesn't use any shady tactics, then I would say go for it. You want to make sure your backlinks come naturally and they aren't manipulated in any way. I also want to stress that you should be looking at the Wayback Machine, so archive.org. Take a look at how their site was like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Make sure their site has been consistently updated, that it wasn't being managed by a different party, that it wasn't a completely different site a couple years ago, right? You want to make sure that this site has been maintained throughout the years. So make sure you use archive.org and make sure this site has been around for, a few years and hasn't been changed to something different. So once you qualify your prospects, the third step in your guest posting process is to complete outreach. So what does that mean? That basically means gathering the webmaster's contact information and emailing them. Send them an email. Ask them how you can offer a guest post to be placed on their site. Ask them what kind of opportunities you can offer in terms of content, in terms of getting a backlink that they can give you. And if they reply back to you with a response letting you know that they do accept guest blog posts, the next step would be to create the content. Now, you need to create the content that is suitable for their audience, make sure it is unique, and make sure it does provide value, right? So don't just give them any half shoddy work. Make sure the content is viable for their blog. So create the content. And the last step is to build relationships with the bloggers and webmasters. So really create the content and build relationships with them and continue to see what other opportunities you can create from this relationship. So it's all about relationship building. It's all about networking, and it's a long-term process. It's not going to be easy. It's the process is easy, but the actual work is not easy. It takes time. That's the biggest part of this whole thing, is that it does take time. Results are not immediate, unfortunately, but the results will come if you put your time into it. So another thing that you can do for your link building is infographic creation and distribution. So if you have an e-commerce store, I highly recommend, when you do build out content, that you make sure the content is linkable, right? You need linkable content on your blog section, on your categories or subcategories. You want to make sure that other sites are open to linking to those pages. And one way to do that is to create really cool, informative infographics. When you create these infographics, you can do your outreach to your possible backlink sources and see if you can give them your infographic so they can add it to their blog post and link back to you. Now, infographics are pretty handy. They not only help with building backlinks, but they also help with educating your visitors and pushing them lower down the funnel. And your infographics can really educate people about the specific product that you sell, about the particular niche or category that you have products in. Make sure you have really solid data that backs up what you are talking about. And you can use data from other sources. Just make sure you cite them at the bottom. And what's really great is when you do use data from other sources, you can create the infographic and send the infographic that you created to those sources. and say, hey, we use one data point from your blog page in our infographic. Please take a look at it. And if you so desire, feel free to add it to your blog post and feel free to link back to us. Right? So if you say, for example, have 10 data points from 10 different sources, you can create that infographic and then reach out to those 10 sources and say, hey, take a look at this infographic. It has your data on it. Why don't you add it to your blog page to help your visitors with the information? So that's a really great way to leverage infographics to build backlinks. All right, so those are a couple of really tried and true methods, but really your strategy will come from your backlink analysis, your competitive analysis. That's really where the gems will come into play, and that is where your strategy will come. So be sure you do your competitive analysis and plan out a really solid backlinking strategy, and most likely it will include guest posting and infographic creation, and it will be really helpful in the long run for you to do. So with that said, I will see you on the next series in this SEO e-commerce strategy series, series that I have. So with that said, I will speak to you on the next one.